Hey guys, John Rettinger here with a review for you of the Garmin Nüvifone G60 just released for AT&T Wireless. This is going to run you $299 after a $100 mail-in rebate. If you watch my channel, you'll have seen me unbox the device, give you a tour of the operating system, and give you a demonstration of the in-car navigation features of the G60. It touts navigation as really its killer feature since it is built by Garmin. But before we get into all that, let's start with the phone itself. Since it is a phone, it's got to make phone calls. Phone quality is actually very high. I could hear people very clearly on my end, and they reported no white noise on their end. In fact, most people thought I was even on a landline. The 3G radio is a little bit weak. Put side by side with other 3G phones like the iPhone 3G and an unlocked Trio Pro, had about 1 bar less of 3G. Something to keep in mind. If you're in a fringe area, you may have some problems with reception. Build quality of the device is fantastic. It's got a really nice solid build to it. It is a little bit on the thick side, but I guess that's to be expected since it is a standalone GPS unit. So let's talk about the operating system for a minute. Like I said, I did a full tour of the operating system, but as a new phone, it already feels a little bit dated. Garmin first revealed this a little over 20 months ago, and had it been released then, it probably would have felt like a modern OS. But in the days of Android and the iPhone OS, something like this really feels behind the 8-ball. It's functional, don't get me wrong. It's certainly not elegant, and it's definitely not pretty, but it is usable. So if you want something that's just a pretty usable feature phone OS, the Nüvifone OS is going to be okay for you. It does offer features like an HTML browser, no multi-touch. It does have email capabilities, although it's not rich HTML, it is sort of your standard POP IMAP email application. No Exchange support, and of course text messaging. From a design standpoint, I found it a little bit weird that there really aren't any physical buttons on the device used for navigation. The only real buttons that you use regularly is the power and standby button right on the top of the phone. All the navigation is done on screen via a resistive touchscreen. And for those of you not familiar with resistive, essentially what it is 2 layers of film on top of each other, and they make a connection when you push them together. So that's why you can use things like a stylus, really anything to push on the screen, whereas a capacitive touchscreen like the iPhone or BlackBerry Storm, T-Mobile G1 is used by a transfer of electrons. That's why you can only use your finger. I'm admittedly not a fan of resistive touchscreens. I think Garmin did a decent job implementing one of those in this instance. The OS does feel zippy with the resistive touchscreen. The flick scrolling does work quite well, surprisingly. That being said, since it is resistive, the screen is actually inlaid a little bit. There's a lip around the device, so you're going to get a lot of dust caught in there. From the navigation standpoint, since this is what the phone is really known for, it is a fantastic navigator. All the maps are loaded locally on the device, so there's no need for a data connection to use it as a GPS unit. For those of you that are familiar with Garmin or have used a Nuvi in the past, this is going to behave exactly like one of those standalone units. It comes with a ton of accessories, including a car mount charger. So you put it right up on your dash, and it's just like any other GPS. It does text-to-speech, so it'll tell you which way to turn, and it'll say the street name. It is a fantastic navigator. Now let's talk about the price point. $299 is a little bit steep. If you're looking to buy a car, you're going to compare cars that are in the same price range. I think phones are no exception. At that $299 price point, you really have a lot of comparisons. You've got the iPhone on AT&T, you've got the BlackBerry Bold, you've got the new HTC Pure and upcoming Tilt 2. There are a lot of phones that sort of fall in that price point. I think you're going to be hard-pressed to justify $300 for this device, especially when all those other phones offer navigation options. If you take something like the iPhone, for example, I know it's sort of unfair to always come back to the iPhone. Something like that does offer standalone navigation options. Companies like Navigon and TomTom offer full-blown navigation for just about $100. So the cost of an iPhone 3G or 3GS, about $200, add another $100 for the navigation program, and you've already equaled the price of the Nüvifone. It's a very hard sell just from a price perspective. However, taking price out, the phone is very functional and it does what it's advertised to do. It doesn't do anything more. You're not going to get really a fantastic web experience or email program, but you are going to get a phone that works. So it's really going to come down to you and what's important. If you get lost a lot like I do, sometimes I got a hard time even finding my way home, you're going to appreciate having the GPS functionality. It does work quite well, and there really, in my opinion, is nothing better than Garmin. So it's going to be a trade-off for what you can live with or not live with. If I have to give this phone on a 1 to 5 scale based just on features, I'm going to give it a solid 3. It's a little bit thick for my taste, and a resistive touchscreen immediately takes a star away. So what do you guys think? Is this a phone you're interested in? If you want to go to AT&T store and check it out, they've got a few on display there. Leave a video or a text response. I'm curious what you guys think. For exclusive content, check me out on Twitter, twitter.com/John4Lakers. And to learn more about TechnoBuffalo, check out TechnoBuffalo.com. Links to everything I talked about will be up in the sidebar. See you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.